Shut up, Smarks. Ross Redux. No, I won't tap out. I won't tap out. All of you bastards suck. Just stop watching Raw. Stop watching Raw. So, on that note, let's get straight into the pre-preview of Survivor Series on the WWE Network from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Planet Houston? Anyway. Previewed War Games last week, and there's not really much to update on, except, of course, apparently that there's not going to be a cover on the cell, on the cage, because butthurt? I don't really care that much myself, but perhaps I'm a singular individual. But, as long as the match overall is entertaining, I don't think it's really going to be that big of a deal if it's got a cover or not. It's got a hit on the... we're going to start with the pre-show, which sees Enzo Amore defend his Cruiserweight Championship against Kalisto. And if you listen to my show for any particular length of time, you know that I usually side with the champion defending. So just playing it safe, I'm going to say that Enzo Amore is going to defend his title. It's not exactly the first time Kalisto's challenged for it, so that other rule that I usually follow doesn't really apply. He's actually a former champion, so they're feuding for the belt, which is nice to see. But still, I foresee Enzo Amore is probably going to successfully defend his title. I wouldn't be disappointed if Kalisto won. I would be quite surprised, though, if Carmella came down with her Money in the Bank case and said, I'm cashing in. And it's like, wait, okay, first off, 205 Live is guys only. And secondly, it's not a SmackDown show. So, I don't know what you're doing. I'm hoping to God James Ellsworth was not the brains of your duo. And, yeah, it's just funny to see. And then R-Truth comes down and says, what's up, Los Angeles? Because that's what he's known for doing. My bad. And then off he goes again. So, yeah, Enzo Amore going to defend his title, I think. It wouldn't bother me either way if Kalisto were to win, but that's how I'm predicting it. The Club Kayfabe Creative Community, bringing together creative people from all walks of life and giving them a platform to show off their talents. Podcasters, artists, cosplayers, authors. Check out all the information about the Club Kayfabe Creative Community at ckcconline.com. So next up for Survivor Series from Planet Houston, Neil before Zod, the 5-on-5 Survivor Series female superstar match. And you know me, again, if you've listened to my show a number of times, I do enjoy naming tag teams, and they just had a Team Raw and Team SmackDown, so I was like, well, they're both Team Raw and both Team SmackDown. So I figured I'd dress it up a little bit and have a little fun with doing a little Hands of Blue action and going 2x2 within the actual 5-person tag teams. So, it's neither of these other 4 women were ready for Asuka, team captain Alicia Fox, and the Alpha Females, Nia Jax and Asuka, and NXT TakeOver, Bayley and Sasha Banks. They're taking on SmackDown That Lump in Your Son's Bed Sheets, Becky Lynch, team captain, Carmella and Tamina Snuka, or maybe Tamuka, maybe? Not stress the U maybe so much. Anyway, and, quote, that Michael Jackson and Slash song, unquote, wink wink, Naomi and To Be Announced. Which is probably going to be either one of 2 women, I think. It's either going to be Natalya, who recently got ousted from the Women's Champion versus Women's Champion match, because, she's no longer the SmackDown Women's Champion, or, as a good possibility, it's going to be from what I'm hearing now, ex-fiancé of Alberto El Patron, the soon-to-be returning, hopefully Sunday night returning, Paige. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Gerbernology TV. Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So next up for Survivor Series on the WWE Network from Houston, Texas. Champion versus champion match. The Miz, the Intercontinental Champion, versus the United States Champion, Baron Corbin. In a Baron Corbin will try to tickle the back of the Miz's face through the front of his face with his fist match, I guess. In other words, he's going to punch the Miz in the face an awful lot. Because, well, he seems to like punching people in the face, and the Miz seems to be the kind of person who needs to get punched in the face. And it's going to be a rare Tarahelian versus Tarahelian match. So, bad guy versus bad guy. Snidely Whiplash versus Snidely Whiplash. So, one of them has a goatee, maybe? I don't know. He's got the handlebar mustache, and he's also got a goatee, so he's the even more evil one. Well, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. I mean, The Miz could eke out a victory, especially if he's got the Miz-tourage in his corner. Now, Baron Corbin may take those guys out. Who knows? Not to dinner, I have to assume, but, you know, again with his fists. So, and feet and whatever else he can throw at them. Maybe he can throw them at each other. And that will probably take them out, I should imagine. So, my prediction, though, is that Baron Corbin's going to win this one. Who knows? Could be The Miz. The Miz could eke out a victory. I wouldn't be too surprised or disappointed in any way. But that's still going to be my call. It's going to be Baron Corbin. Because he's just making up some new rules.
This is the Great Cat Guitar Show! Slamming Wrestling News Radio on Ring Rust, CHMR 93.5 FM!
Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So next up for Survivor Series from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. The capital of planet Houston, I'm sure. Just running that joke into the ground. So next up, we're going to be talking about the six-man tag, which sees the Shield, and as you know, I mean, the Shield and the New Day, of course, have their own six-man tag names, but, you know, it's the naming of the two of the three individual members within it that I seem to enjoy really doing. So, we've got the Shield, which is Roman Reigns, and Architect Fringe, you know, former tag team champions, so might as well give them a tag team name. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus the New Day, Big E Langston, and Rudy Tooty, which is Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Now, I don't know where I heard it. I'm guessing it was on SmackDown. One of them said Rudy Tooty Booty, and I thought, okay, well, that's what I'm going to call. I'm going to make the individual names of two of the three men from those. I'll go Rudy Tooty Booty. I'll go from the back to the front because Rudy is sort of left over. So Booty is Big E Langston because Booty. Tooty is Xavier Woods because of Francesca. And Rudy, of course, is whoever's left over, Kofi Kingston. I don't know, it just seems sort of silly and fun. And that's a good way to view wrestling, is being silly and fun. Because otherwise it's a job you don't get paid for. And it's not like you're being appreciated, really, at all. For not liking. I mean, they appreciate the fact that you keep watching, I guess. Even though you keep saying you hate it. You keep watching, and they say, LOL, whatever. And they keep doing exactly the same thing because you won't ever stop watching. So, anyway, enough on that. Shorter than I usually go on about something like that, but although, as I usually say, if you don't enjoy it, you really shouldn't be watching it. So, you should watch something that you do enjoy. But I'm a wrestling fan, okay? Then watch wrestling that you like. Because people tend to like the things that they're a fan of. And if you don't like WWE, then you're not a fan of WWE. So just watch some other wrestling. Just because it's on TV in front of you at any given point in time doesn't mean you have to watch it. Take control of your own fandom. And watch what you like. The writing is on the wall. It would seem that the Shield is probably going to win this one. I'm not 100%. But that does seem like it's probably a safe bet. So that's where my vote's going to go.
Meet my friendly knuckle.
Brunt.
I forgot my wings.
Get him.
You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. Now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So next we have Women's Champion versus Women's Champion, where Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss will take it on SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, who just won it on this week's SmackDown. So that's why Natalya was bumped from this match and could potentially be put into the 5-on-5 women's match. But we'll see how that goes. I do think, I don't know, because Alexa Bliss does seem to pull out some rather impressive victories, or is just really adept at using her opponent's weaknesses against them. Who knows? That could be it as well. So that's who I think is going to end up winning. Alexa Bliss or Charlotte Flair. Either way, whoever wins, I think I'm going to be quite blissful.
That time of year again. Time to get in your votes for the Ring Rust year-end Top 50 Countdown, where I run down my favorite and your favorite wrestling-related songs and wrestling indie themes from 50 all the way to number 1. Just like CHMR's Ring Rust on Facebook, and post your vote in the appropriate thread. Check it out on the last Friday of this year and the first Friday of next year. For this week's Macho Fact. A grizzly bear once attacked Randy Savage. He decided to adopt its orphaned cubs. And the Macho Man can dislocate your skull. Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkJabroni, and subscribe to Jabronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkjabroni.
Now part of Club Kayfabe creative community. So next up for Survivor Series from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, we have the last champion versus champion match, which sees Universal Champion Brock Lesnar versus WWE Champion AJ Styles. And as talented as AJ Styles is, I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion. Even though I'm sure AJ will give Brock quite the battle, speed versus strength kind of thing. I still think the Beast Incarnate's probably gonna most likely come out as the winner of this one. So let's actually have a quick look at which team, because each match except for the Cruiserweight match is a Raw versus SmackDown match. So let's see. So I called for SmackDown to win the women's 5-on-5 match. I called for SmackDown to win the Intercontinental versus US match. I called for Raw to win the Shield versus New Day match. I called for Raw to win the women's title versus women's title match. And I called for Raw to win the Universal versus WWE title match. So it's pretty evenly spread, I think. I mean, because they're not liable to give one show clear advantage over the other. So they're probably even going to split the brands on which of the 5-on-5 matches wins. Like they'll have Raw win one and have SmackDown win the other, maybe. Is that how I called it? Okay. Well, we'll get into that momentarily. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. So there's only one match left for Survivor Series on the WWE Network. We have the remaining 5-on-5 Survivor Series Raw versus SmackDown match. So we got Raw Talent with team captain Kurt Angle, and he's joined by Brawl for All, which is Braun Strowman and Samoa Joe, and Demon's Great Hammer, which is Triple H and Finn Balor. And they're taking on Tuesday Night Delights. Team captain Shane McMahon leads two dudes with attitudes. That's O instead of U. Dudes and attitudes, because Randy Orton and Bobby Roode with two O's instead of a... And super over like Super Grover, John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura. So I do predict that the SmackDown team is going to come out on top of this one, although from my previous statement you'd think the Raw team would probably, because also it does seem that Kurt Angle's job probably hinges on the idea of Team Raw winning. So for those two criteria, I suspect it's probably a good possibility that Team Raw is going to win. But then again, Team SmackDown has John Cena, and he tends to win. LOL, kick out at 2, 4 moves of doom, and all kinds of fornicating microscopic female dog talk. But anyway, I think that's how I call it, though. I'm going to say, I might even go as far as to predict that Cena's going to get the winning pinfall. I don't know. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to stick with that, but it seems reasonable. He's going to do at least a sizable amount of damage, if not actually potentially score a pinfall. Although he is at the tail end of his career now, or approaching the tail end of his career. He seems to be winding down a bit, concentrating a little bit more on acting and things, which I don't have any problem with, but, you know. I'm sure there are the aforementioned fornicating microscopic female dogs out there who have all kinds of problems with a wrestler becoming an actor, but who am I to say? As I'm neither. So, and speaking of neither are you. You're not a wrestler either. Chances are the person listening to my show right now is not a wrestler. Chances are. I'm not slamming someone who is listening to my show who is a wrestler, current or former, or a ringside manager, current or former, but, you know, I'm just saying the most vocal minority are the ones who are the ones crying the most about the fact that John Cena seems to always win, and Randy Orton wins a lot too, and, you know, and Triple H tends to bury people, so I don't know. I don't know where to fall on that one, but I am going to stick with my SmackDown prediction, because I think maybe I'm just a bad man.
When I was a kid, if someone brandished a shrink gun, he'd get a little bit of respect. I'll make you fun size. Coming through. Sorry. Oh, that stings. I beg your pardon.
You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. Starrcade on November 25th in the Greensboro Coliseum Complex in Greensboro, North Carolina. Bobby Roode will be taking on Dolph Ziggler. So, probably safe to assume Bobby Roode's going to end up winning that one, because it seems to be the thing they're doing. Dolph Ziggler might win. I don't know. I wouldn't be overly surprised, I suppose, but I would be more surprised, I think, if Bobby Roode didn't win it. So, that's going to be my prediction. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. And Dash Wilder will be taking on Dustin Rhodes. So, given that Dustin Rhodes, the former Goldust, is well known for being a under contract enhancement talent, shall we say? Should have been wearing one of those T-shirts that Al Snow was handing out in the Attitude Era. So, but anyway, Dash Wilder, I think, is most likely gonna win this one. Pretty much for that reason. Dustin Rhodes seems to not mind losing matches. He likes helping other superstars advance in their careers, so that's how I'm calling it. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. For Kevin Owens, who will be teaming with Sami Zayn as the Un-Canadians, because, see, they're not very polite, so they're Un-Canadian, sort of like the Un-Americans who are not Americans and just acting contrary to American beliefs and such. And they will be joining the New Day, Big E Langston and or Kofi Kingston and or Xavier Woods, American Omega, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin to challenge the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso, for their SmackDown Tag Team Championships at Starrcade. Although I'd normally side with the defending champions, I think I'd like to see it. Whether or not it will happen is another matter. This is the first time they'll be challenging for the titles, so it's not really what I'd expect, but it'll be nice to see. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. Baron Corbin will be defending his United States Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, following that same rule, I expect Baron Corbin probably to defend, but it'll be one hell of a match to see because Shinsuke Nakamura is a good showman and has no problem showing off and showing up his opponents, so it'll be entertaining to say the very least, although I do say, like I said, Baron Corbin most likely will be defending his title. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. Charlotte Flair will be defending her title against Natalya, and that's how I predict that as well. Not to be boring or anything, but, it just seems she just won it, so this will be like her first title defense. It'll be Natalya's rematch. Not that they can't feud for the title, certainly, for another couple of matches, like on the next SmackDown or something, or in the next pay-per-view. Whatever, but until then, I expect Charlotte Flair to defend. Whether or not she does is another matter, but there you go.
Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkJabroni, and subscribe to Jabronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkjabroni.
And finally, ending things off for Starrcade, coming up on, is it on the WWE Network? I hope so. Doesn't really say. So maybe it'll just be a house show. If it's just a house show, I'm probably not going to bother with the results. But if it's on the network, then, which I kind of expect it would be, but we'll see. So finally, the WWE title will be on the line, where AJ Styles defends against Jinder Mahal in his return match in a steel cage. But again, I do expect, not to sound like, deliberately anyway, to sound like a broken record, I expect AJ Styles to be defending his title just because he's kind of phenomenal.
That's it for another show, kiddies. Check me out on Facebook, where you can keep track of all the news that's right on the mark, from around ringside to the latest concerts. See you at the shows. Later days.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.